What's going on, guys? Listen to WSOU. I am Nick with my very special guest, Ryan Leitru of Nothing Left and previously For Today. What's going on, dude?
Oh, not much, man. Just hanging out.
So, big stuff coming up for you at the end of the month, just a couple weeks away from the debut EP release of Nothing Left. So I'm sure you're super stoked about that.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited about it. It's been kind of a work in progress for a while now, so it's kind of cool to finally have stuff coming out so people can hear what we've been working on. And it's kind of no matter how many times I'm a part of releasing a record, it's always exciting to kind of put it out there. So I'm pretty pumped on it.
For sure. And now, obviously, coming from another project into this project, what kind of was your mindset coming in with what you wanted to achieve sound-wise and kind of just where you wanted to head after coming off of For Today into this new project?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was really just like the desire for kind of a clean slate, so to speak. Kind of whenever you're in a band for a really long time, there becomes expectations. There's a sound that you have kind of formulated, and you kind of need to stay around in that sound. So there comes some kind of restrictions with that sort of stuff. So for this, it was just really creatively liberating to do whatever we wanted to, and to not have to have anything check any boxes and to have no expectations or anything like that. So it was really a free place to make music from. So that's kind of where it started, and then I guess where we ended up going with it was kind of back to what got me excited about heavy music in the first place, kind of the early 2000s and late 90s. Heavy music was kind of really influential for me growing up. So that was kind of where we went with our influences, and I think we kind of chose to wear those on our sleeves pretty obviously in the music. So we kind of went back to doing what made me excited in the first place, and it was kind of cool to have a bit of a reinvigoration of creativity and inspiration by going back and trying to bring that into something new. And that's kind of where that stuff started.
For sure. And now, so what is the official lineup? I know you have your brother Brandon's in there. I know Alex from Silent Planet tracked the drums for the EP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the singer is this guy named Dane Saylor. And he used to sing in a band called The Wolf of Pretty Boy back in the day, and he filled in for Impending Doom on numerous occasions and stuff like that. So just a friend of mine who was looking to get back into making music, and he did a great job on the record too.
For sure. And now I know you're playing Face Down Fest, which is coming up. We'll talk about that in a bit. But I know you're playing that show, but is there other touring expectations that you have coming up? Because I know, obviously, Alex is a very, very busy guy right now with Silent Planet. Whether or not you were going to use him, or if that was just kind of to track it, if he's like an official member, or if you're going to hit the road with someone else.
Yeah, I think part of the kind of the reoccurring theme of this will be freedom, and we have the freedom to kind of do as much or as little as we want to, and we can kind of schedule it around everybody else's life, and everyone's plans and things like that. I actually I'll be working up in your neck of the woods at a studio with Will Putney and the guys that we've done. So I have a kind of a job over there, and I'll be working on lots of records. So in between that, we can tour, and Alex will be a part of it, provided that Silent Planet isn't doing stuff. So there's kind of a freedom there to do it at our leisure. Mm-hmm. There's no pressure on us for that. Our rent isn't going to be contingent upon the success or failure of the band, which creatively is really liberating for all of us, because we can do whatever we want, and if people like it, awesome, and if people don't, then we like it, and that's really all that matters to us. So that's a really fun place to make music from, and the touring stuff will open itself up that way too. And we've obviously, all of us have made a lot of friends and connections over the years with bands, and we'd love to go out and do some tours with some friends and stuff like that, and keep it short and sweet, and just keep it pure to where we're not taking tours because it's going to put us in front of people necessarily or whatever, but we get a tour with people we care about, people we like, bands we like, and be able to just tour with people who we think have the right heart behind making music, because there's a lot of people that make music for a lot of different reasons, and I really want to be able to surround myself with people who play music because they actually genuinely love it, and they're not trying to be somebody cool, or they're not trying to impress people or sell records or make money. It's so it's kind of cool to go to just go to that place and be able to tour that way.
Definitely. And now, like I mentioned earlier, you are on Face Down Fest this year, which is really, really cool. I've been following Face Down for a long time and done a lot of work with the Quiggles over there and whatnot. And they have this is the 20th anniversary, which is really cool, and the fact that you guys get to be a part of it. And there's a ton of awesome bands that are going to be reuniting for it. I'm super stoked for Bloodline Calligraphy. I didn't know what happened to them. They dropped off the face of the earth, and super stoked that they're going to be doing that. But how does it feel to be a part of this family? Because I know For Today started out on the Face Down family, and I know it really is, like, that label truly is a family. Like, everyone is treated very well, and they all have the same kind of mindset with what they want to achieve. So what was your decision and process of getting back with the Face Down family for this project?
Yeah, well, man, to start off, I'd say Jason and Virginia, the owners of the label, and obviously the Quiggles as well, like you mentioned, are some of the best people in the music industry. I've been fortunate enough to be involved with it for the last 12 years of my life, and of all the people I've met, they're at the top tier of people, to the point where when we had spoken about, potentially working together for this project, I kind of outlined exactly what we were trying to do and trying to be very, free to do pretty much whatever we wanted. And they were super supportive of that, and they've always been that way with their artists. They're one of the few record labels in the world that I would ever even consider signing a deal without having a lawyer look at it, because they're the kind of people that have the highest level of integrity.
Right.
And it's really an honor to work with people like that. Those are the kind of people I want to be involved with, not just musically, but in life, to be around people that are really stand-up individuals. And so that's kind of where that whole thing started from. And they really, they gave us a start with my old band when no one else would. They were interested in us before anyone thought there was anything even worth looking at with us. So it was great to kind of bring it back full circle and come be a part of something that was so influential in my life, and work with people that are so awesome. And then to be a part of Face Down Fest 20 years is going to be really, really cool, really special to see a lot of friends that, like you said, are reuniting with their bands and playing shows for the first time in many years for some of them. And, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see half those bands play, and, just some of those bands come back together. I'm just super excited to see it. And then to be able to play it is just icing on the cake for us, and, to be a part of it. So we're really looking forward to it. And I think, I can't recommend that record label any higher, because they're truly a part of music because they love it, and they believe in the bands that they put out, and they believe in the records they put out, regardless of whether that's going to be a financial windfall for them or a financial failure. They're just supportive of what they believe in, and they back it with everything they have. And those are the kind of people I really appreciate.
Yeah, for sure. And now that will be the first American show you play, because I know you guys did a brief little European leg with on the farewell tour for Today, right?
Yeah, we did. We did the Farewell Europe tour, and that was really awesome. And we had a great time. We did do one show that was pretty last minute in Oklahoma City, because everyone just happened to be there.
Oh, okay.
It was on the farewell tour in the States, and Silent Planet was on the leg there. So Alex was already there, and then our singer lives in Oklahoma City, and then we were obviously playing, so we just we threw ourselves on the bill to just play in the States for fun, and it was a blast. But it will be the first properly promoted show that we've done in the U.S. And yeah, it'll be great to be on a stage that we loved playing so much over the years at the Glass House, and and like I said, alongside so many bands that we've grown up respecting and playing with and things like that. So it'd be very cool.
Definitely. And now I wanted to ask you about, because I was thinking about this since it was announced, the project, Nothing Left. Does that have anything to do with the As I Lay Dying song, or was there something separate with the meaning behind the name?
No, I think it's kind of independent of that. You know, I think it's kind of the idea is that, like, you know, after all creative creative bands or businesses or whatever, after all that stuff ends, and there's nothing left, there's only music for the love of music. There's only passion, and there's only, like, sincerity. So it's kind of when the career side of it gets stripped away, what's left, and you know, that's kind of here's where we are. So, you know, it really, I think it just by happenstance happens to be a big As I Lay Dying song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was kind of a coincidental thing that we didn't really think about going into it. But
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of where that is.
And then I also kind of wanted to touch on, obviously, the legacy with For Today as well. I had actually caught both halves of the American farewell tour. The first one we did with Wage War and Gideon, and then the second time around with Silent Planet and Norma Jean. And I had seen you guys countless times. Actually, you were the first band I ever saw on Warped Tour back in like 2012 or something like that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so you guys have always been just a big influence on, you know, me as a fan of heavy music. So how does it kind of feel for you to be a part of, obviously, this very, you know, big band in, you know, whatever you want to call it, the hardcore scene, metalcore scene, Christian heavy music scene, you know, polarizing at times, but yet had such a huge legacy, and, you know, now that's over, and now you're starting something kind of fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So what's kind of, you know, your mindset?
Well, you know, I think I'm obviously super thankful to have been able to be a part of something that mattered to people, and that was, I mean, I had a great time doing it. We loved making the music and the tours and all that. And, you know, like I said, when you do something for a really long time, you end up kind of putting yourself into some creative boxes that, you know, are sometimes okay, and sometimes they can be restricting. So as much as I love doing it, I'm also equally love the freedom to do whatever I want now.
Right.
So, you know, I definitely don't take any of it for granted. We had a great time with it, but like all things, there's a season for it in life. You do it, and for as long as you feel like it's right, and when it's no longer, when that season passes and changes, you just move on to the next thing. And you know, life is constantly evolving. So that's kind of what it is for all of us, is we're all kind of just trying to do what's right for us in the future and move forward. You know, and if that means letting go of the past, that means letting go of the past and moving into the future. And you know, we're having a great time doing this new project and making music that is boundaryless, really. I mean, we could literally do anything we wanted with it, and we chose to do what we did. So, you know, and hopefully people enjoy that as much or as they did with For Today stuff. And if they don't, then we definitely enjoy doing it wholeheartedly. So I'm not concerned.
For sure. So from what you're saying, did you feel like you were confined with For Today, with how, like, it was kind of a, you know, you can only do so much, and it kind of got to a point where you just didn't really know where else to go, I guess? Or
you know, that was kind of that was a part of it. I mean, I think you can only change so much as a band before you're not the same band anymore. Mm-hmm. And there's so many other restrictions that you have when you're a band that's got a following the way that ours was. Is, you know, we didn't want to feel like we were being forced to do something that we didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, just our lives had pulled us in different directions. You know, our singer Maddie has several kids, and he wanted to be home with them, so he was kind of feeling his time with the band was coming to an end, and we didn't want to sully the name of what we've done. You know, we didn't want to try to bring in another guy or anything like that.
Right.
And everyone kind of universally felt like, you know what, I think we have really run the course with this. I think we did everything we were supposed to do with it, and we just wanted to be proud of it and kind of bow out gracefully.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of what it was. There was no discontent in being in the band or anything like that. But with anything in life, there's always things that you love more, and things that are consequences of that. And the creative side of it, once you're in a thing for long enough, you kind of have eyes to do other things creatively. And this was kind of a great way to do something creative that didn't have to fit into any boxes. So that's kind of really what it started from.
For sure. And I talked to Matty actually at the end of that tour. I did an interview with him and kind of talked to him about the whole thing. And it was kind of like, is this truly like the end of the road? Is it, this is it? Or is it, we're going to do our own thing for a few years. Maybe we'll come back, play a few shows here and there. Is that, what's your take? Is this kind of like it'll, you're never going to reunite ever, even if it's just for a couple shows here and there? Or is it like, we'll see, maybe down the road there'll be a little flame that comes back where it's like, we'll do a 2-week tour just to kind of get back out and do what we used to do.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a thing we got asked a bunch. And
right.
I think really like Thrice and Under Oath kind of going away and coming back.
Right.
Really, I think I tour managed a lot of our final tours, and I think almost every promoter had some sort of joke about, we'll see you in 3 years or something like that. And our intentions were to lay it to rest,
okay,
and to let it be what it is. That said, I have learned that over the course of time, you never know what can happen.
Right.
So we cautiously say never,
mm-hmm,
but we have no plans of doing that.
Right.
But also, Tom from Straight from the Path, I'll owe him $100 if we play a show within the next 3 years. So. he was so yeah. I'm trying to save myself some money, so probably not. But who knows?
And I also asked, I actually forget what song it was, but I asked him, I asked Matty, what his song that he felt left the biggest impact on the For Today catalog, and the song he was most, proud of, and would say was his, if he could leave with one song, that would be the song. And I hate myself that I can't remember what it was, but what would that song be for you? What song is just kind of like, that's the For Today catalog, that's the song that really shows who we are? And if someone asks, hey, I heard you were in For Today, I don't know your band, give me a song to listen to.
I think, man, that's tough. When you release 6 records, it's so tough to embody one song. But I think maybe the song that kind of embodied the heart of the band and a bit of the sound was Fearless, because that was kind of the single that we released coming out at what was probably a pretty pivotal time for our career.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be a song that people really connected with. So that one, and I'd have to give maybe a tie with the song Devastator.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah, that was the one, because I forget which song he mentioned, but I was like, oh, it caught me by surprise. It's like, I thought you were gonna say Devastator, because obviously you guys usually closed with that and whatnot.
Yeah, and both songs were important songs in our career. Devastator was kind of the tipping point for us to where we kind of went from being a pretty unknown band to having a little bit more of a following. So that song was definitely pivotal and key for that for the time. So those 2 songs in both played important parts in the role of our career.
For sure. And would you ever slip one into your set with Nothing Left, or are you keeping things completely separate? Like, how's that working?
Yeah, we're definitely keeping things separate.
Right.
We're trying to make it a different thing altogether.
Right.
I think that's kind of part of moving forward, is that you let the past be the past, and
right,
let the future be the future. So yeah, we're definitely keeping a different thing, and and that's a great thing to have in the past. And as we go towards the future, we're looking for Nothing Left to be Nothing Left.
Okay, I could definitely appreciate that. And then my other thing is, I've been asking this to a lot of people. I asked it to Matty, of course, and I asked it to a lot of other like older metalcore, hardcore bands. Because it's very interesting to me. Obviously, you have bands' longevity is brought into question a lot of times, whether it's just because you can't physically finance doing it full time, or it just kind of, it's reached its peak or whatnot. But obviously, you see, in other, like thrash, Metallica and Slayer, and those bands are still going strong. Does metalcore
Sure.
and hardcore have that type of longevity where we can see that in 20 years or so? Because there's a lot of bands that were at the forefront, for today included, that aren't around anymore, or it seems like maybe things are starting to get to a point where it's like, I don't know if they can really get any bigger at this point than where they already are. So what's
Sure.
kind of, and obviously it's a very physical genre of music. It's obviously with the moshing and whatnot, at a certain point, you get too old to mosh, and too old to headbang and all that stuff. But do you see this type of music really? Obviously, hardcore has reinvented itself several times, but do you
Sure.
think there's a point where we're going to see this kind of die out? Is this kind of a trend almost?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of layers to the question. One, I think that hardcore and metal will always exist in some form. It'll, like you said, continue to reinvent itself and continue to change. It may be more underground or less underground, depending on the time frame, and everything comes in ebbs and flows. But I think the bigger question that you asked it, will bands be able to exist in the way that like a
Right.
Metallica does,
Yeah.
or something? And I don't know. I think time will tell on that. I do think that the nature of the music industry now is very different than it was in the early '80s and into the '90s, when a lot of those bands were kind of at their advent.
For sure.
So I think as time, the nature of music now, the industry itself, it's harder for bands to make money the way that they did then. So it requires a lot of touring, and touring requires time. And time, as you get older, is something that it becomes more valuable and more valuable because you have less and less of it. So I think that a lot of these bands are kind of, coming to, like, that's where we were in the place where we were doing fine. We were making plenty of money for everybody to survive and do well, but the resource of time that we had to do all of our other endeavors, for me to make records and for Maddie to be with his children as they grew up, and for David to run his business and all this stuff, the time that we had wasn't going to last forever. So we wanted to make sure we could do everything else we wanted to do in our lives. And I think that's the thing, because there's not bands now in metal, really, or metal and hardcore, who are making millions of dollars. Like,
Right.
that's just not happening. So, as much as I would love for that to be the case for bands, to where bands could really make a lot of money, you don't really do that without touring a lot now.
For sure.
So there's kind of a balance that comes in with those two. And for career bands, I don't know how reasonable it is to think that there's going to be a ton of bands that are the Rolling Stones anymore, where they can transcend many decades of popularity.
Right.
Because there was not as much music out there available back then as there is now. The internet and has brought in such a change where there's so many bands for different flavors. If you like this band but you don't like the vocals, there's probably a band that does that band but with different vocals. Like, you can kind of, it's almost like a build a band like thing out there now, to where if you like Meshuggah but you don't like that kind of, you want to have clean singing over it, there's a band for you. And if you don't like clean singing, then you can kind of build your own band.
Yeah.
And that's because there's so many bands out there, but it makes it harder for one band to rise above everybody and have a career that transcends all of time. But it's just the new wave of music, and like everybody else out there, we're just trying to adjust to it and be a part of the future. And really, more than anything, just do what we enjoy doing. And if people like it, fantastic. But if you don't like it, then it doesn't matter if everyone loves it and you hate it, then life will become very sad when you're forced to tour 12 months out of the year. So it's I think it really, that's the heart of the music, is what I've kind of always decided to come back to. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing music for money, you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons.
For sure. Definitely. Well, that's all I got for you. The EP comes out on April 21st, so I know you're super stoked about it. But is there anything you want to add wrapping up?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, that's really. I mean, I think we covered most everything. But yeah, like I said, April 20th. The EP
Okay.
is called "Destroy and Rebuild," and it's going to be out on Face Down Records and Spotify and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, please pick up a copy and support us. That'd be great.
Awesome, man. Well, I really do appreciate your time. I had a great time chatting with you.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, no problem.